My name is Ethan, a live-in son-in-law ready to give up and do nothing. 3 years into the marriage, my wife took the initiative to ask me out for the first time. The meeting place was in front of the Civil Affairs Bureau. She tossed me a divorce agreement and a check for $5 million US. Sign this, and we'll be square. Staring at her face, cold and perfect like an ice sculpture, I almost burst out laughing. Yes, the rich woman was finally willing to set me free. Sign this, and we'll be square. Sophia's voice, like her, had not a trace of warmth. I looked at the divorce papers and the $5 million check before me, my heart racing uncontrollably. Not out of reluctance, but out of elation. Married 3 years, I lived in a villa and drove a luxury car, yet I lived like a dog. My mother-in-law scolds me as a useless nobody. My brother-in-law orders me around like a servant, and even the housemaid dares to turn her face away from me. And my so-called wife, the aloof, ice-cold CEO, aside from our wedding day, I haven't even had a single meal alone with her. I've had enough for a long time. Yes, finally free. $5 million US. I'll never worry again in this life. I can either go travel the world first, or go to the clubhouse to try out the young models. Ha ha. Only kids make choices. I want it all. Sophia. Oh, Sophia, you really are my great benefactor. In my heart, I'd already begun composing the carefree life of being single. I was so excited I almost kowtowed to her right then. I picked up the pen, eager to sign my name at once. Wait, Sophia's cool, distant voice sounded again. I looked up and saw her beautiful phoenix, like eyes fixed on me, her expression full of disbelief and a trace of suppressed anger. Strange. Wasn't she eager for me to get lost? Why this look? What the hell? Do you think 5 million is too much? Surely not. Taylor Group's president, worth tens of billions. This amount is pocket change to her, isn't it? No, please, sis, I'm begging you, just let me go. I don't want to stay a single day longer. I prayed desperately in my heart, fearing she would change her mind. Sophia's expression darkened further. The fingers holding the contract had gone slightly white from gripping it so hard. She took a deep breath, seemingly forcing herself to calm down. I looked at her, and only one thought crossed my mind. Hurry up, what are you dawdling for? Isn't your company's Tianwan project about to go up in flames? If you don't deal with it, your CEO position won't stay secure, and you won't have the leisure to stall with me. What a silly girl. She doesn't even realize she's been set up. The rival company clearly laid a trap for her, using a seemingly perfect project to collapse her cash flow. And she really dove right in. The way to break the deadlock is obviously simple. Just give up that plot in the southeast and instead cooperate with Starlight Tech in the west of the city, using their logistics channels to turn the tables on our rivals. Not only would that solve our problem, but it would also make a hefty profit. Sigh, what a pity. Such a great beauty, big chest, but no brains. Oh well, we're divorcing anyway. None of my business. I was drifting off in my own imagination when suddenly the woman opposite, Sophia, snapped her head up, a flash of sharp light shooting from her eyes. That look was like seeing a lighthouse in the dark, full of shock and fanaticism. Her gaze made my skin crawl. What's wrong with this woman? Why is she like an X-ray, trying to see straight through me? Just as I was bewildered, Sophia did something that left me dumbfounded. In front of the lawyer and me, she actually snatched the agreement from my hand and, with a ripping sound, tore it into pieces. Confetti flew everywhere. I am dumbfounded. The lawyer was stunned too. Sophia, miss, the lawyer stammered. Sophia didn't even look at him. Her eyes remained fixed on me, and she said, word by word, "We're not getting a divorce." I was stunned. My mind went blank, with only a huge question mark hovering. Not divorcing me? Why? The club's fresh model I just had in mind, traveling the world, all ruined? Is this woman crazy? Is the cooked duck really flying away like that? My $5 million US. My heart is wailing, bleeding. Sophia looked at my stunned expression. The corner of her mouth seemed to curl into an almost imperceptible arc, so quick it felt like my imagination. She reverted to that icy CO demeanor and coldly said to the lawyer beside her, "Lawyer Wong, Thank you for your hard work today. You may go now. Lawyer Wong left looking utterly bewildered. Only Sophia and I remained on the scene. The atmosphere was so awkward you could pick out a 3-bedroom apartment with your toes. Come home with me. She tossed out the 4 words and turned away, her high heels striking the floor with a crisp, decisive sound. I followed her like a marionette, dazed, and climbed into her Bentley. All the way there, I pondered life. Which step went wrong? Could it be that her conscience kicked in, and she felt 3 years of marriage shouldn't be treated so rashly? Give me a break. If she had a conscience, pigs could fly. Or could it be she discovered my handsomeness? I don't even buy that myself. I was lost in wild thoughts when Sophia, beside me, suddenly spoke, her voice still icy. Sit still, don't move. I froze. I didn't move, did I? I looked down at myself. I was sitting up straight, hands on my knees, obedient like a schoolchild. What a lunatic, I didn't move at all. Did this woman take the wrong medicine today? A grating screech of brakes. The Bentley came to a sudden stop at the roadside. I nearly smashed my head into the seat in front. I was about to ask her what the hell was going on. When I turned, I saw Sophia had turned her head to look at me, and that stunning face of hers was showing a faint, suspicious flush. Her eyes darted away, avoiding my gaze, and she said coldly, "Starting today, you move back into the master bedroom." After saying that, she stepped on the gas, and the car shot off like an arrow from a bow. I froze in place again. The master bedroom? Isn't that her territory alone? In 3 years of marriage, I haven't even stepped through that door. What does she mean by this? Could it be she wants to fulfill our marital duties with me? Holy shit. No way. I just wanted to grab the money and leave. I didn't mean to sell myself. Back at the villa, Sophia locked herself in the study. Before going in, she threw me one line, "Don't lock the door tonight." I stood in the empty living room, stunned. This world is insane. What I didn't know was that inside the study, Sophia immediately dialed her assistant. "Vivian, now immediately terminate all cooperation on the southeast plot of the Tianwan project, at any cost." On the other end of the line, Vivian was horrified. "Miss Sophia, but we've already invested $500 million US. Execute the order." Sophia's voice brooked no argument. After hanging up, she immediately added, "Also, check this for me. Starlight Tech in the west of the city. I want all the information on their boss. Send it to my email within 30 minutes. Having finished all that, Sophia leaned back in her chair and let out a long, deep sigh. She closed her eyes, and what echoed in her mind were all my irreverent complaints, especially that line. Such a stunning beauty, big breasts, and no brains. Sophia's face flushed instantly. The next day, I woke up on the master bedroom's $1 million Sur mattress. I actually moved in. Although Sophia stayed in the study until midnight last night and slept on the sofa after coming back, the nature of things has completely changed. I lie on the soft big bed with no ripple in my heart. I even somewhat miss my little guest room that was like a doghouse. Sigh, you can't guess a rich woman's mind. No matter how much you try, you won't figure it out. Never mind. Since it's come to this, I'll make the best of it. She hasn't brought up divorce, so I'll keep squandering my days. Anyway, there's food and drink, so I'll muddle through. I yawned as I went downstairs to eat breakfast, but found Sophia already dressed and ready, in a sharp professional suit, sitting at the dining table. When she saw me, she only glanced at me indifferently. "There's an important board meeting at the company today. Stay home and behave yourself. Don't go out looking for trouble." "A board meeting? Oh, the denunciation session about the Tianwan project, right? Cousin Oliver has surely prepared his PPT, just waiting to watch you make a fool of yourself and then seize power. TSK. What a pity he's going to miscalculate. I just don't know if that silly girl listened to me yesterday." I thought this as I sat down and picked up a slice of toast. Sophia paused slightly as she lifted her coffee. She looked at me intently, her expression complicated, then said nothing and stood up to leave. 10 o'clock in the morning, top floor conference room of Taylor Group. The atmosphere was heavy as still water. All the directors of Taylor Group, including several elders of the Taylor family, were all present. Sophia's cousin, Oliver Taylor, the director of the marketing department, stood in front of the projection screen, energetically pointing at the blood-red figures on the PPT with a laser pointer. Directors, uncles, please look. This is the result of Miss Sophia stubbornly pushing forward the Tianhuan project. In just 1 month, the company has lost $500 million, and the hole keeps getting bigger. I've said it before, Sophia is too young. Women, after all, are ruled by emotions and unfit for great responsibilities. Oliver spoke with great feeling, grieving and indignant, as if he were the company's savior. An elderly white-haired family patriarch sighed. Sophia, is what Oliver said true? Everyone's gazes converged on Sophia. She sat upright in the main seat, expressionless, unreadable. Only after Oliver finished his performance did she slowly lift her eyelids, her cool voice sounding. Finished talking? Oliver was stunned. Sophia, I'm doing this for the good of the company. For the good of the company? Sophia sneered. Director Oliver, while you were making this PPT, did you pay any attention to the latest project progress? As she spoke, she nodded to her assistant Vivian, standing behind her. Vivian immediately distributed a document to each director present. Just yesterday afternoon, we officially terminated our partnership on the Tianhuan Project's southeast parcel, and Sophia paused, her gaze like a blade, piercing Oliver. This morning at 8 o'clock, we reached a strategic cooperation with Starlight Tech in the Western District. We will use their logistics channels to jointly develop the new energy market in the West District. What? Oliver's face changed drastically. The directors present also picked up the documents, and seeing the clear terms and projected returns, each of them let out a gasp. Abandoning a $500 million pit, they immediately signed onto a new blue ocean worth $5 billion. This was no longer a simple business decision. This was a stroke of genius. Mr. William Taylor, Sophia's grandfather, looked at the documents. A flash of clarity cut through his cloudy eyes, and he suddenly slammed his hand on the table. All right, Sophia, well done. Oliver was completely stunned. The impeachment speech he had prepared all night became worthless in an instant. He looked at his cousin sitting in the main seat, as if her whole being were glowing, and felt a deep sense of unfamiliarity. Is this still the Sophia who couldn't even lift her head when he pinned her down? How could she possibly have pulled off such an earth-shattering reversal in a single day? I had no idea what kind of storm my wild thoughts were already causing inside Taylor Group. I was in my big boxers, sprawled on the living room sofa, eating potato chips while watching a boring soap opera. Is the male lead an idiot? The second female lead is such a green tea, and he treats her like a treasure. If I were the screenwriter, I'd have the male lead get together with the second male lead. Much better. The door opened. Sophia is back. She still has that cold, icy manner, but maybe it's just my imagination. I feel like the way she looks at me is a little softer. She took off her high heels, walked straight up to me, and slapped the document down on the coffee table. Take a look. I was startled. My chips fell. What the heck now? Could it be another divorce agreement? Wonderful. I brightened and quickly picked up the document. Intent letter for the Dongcheng Development Zone Project Cooperation. It's not a divorce agreement. I immediately lost interest. I lazily flipped through 2 pages and burst out laughing. Haha, isn't this a commercial disaster waiting to happen? That plot in Dongcheng looks like prime real estate, but the underground pipelines are severely deteriorated and the renovation costs are a bottomless pit. Besides, several big surrounding companies have already been pre-selected, so there's no room for commercial development. Whoever signs this contract is an idiot. Are the Taylor Group's investment department just dead weight? They dare submit a report like this? Oh, let me see, proposer. Oliver Taylor. I see. So he's up to some scheme again? Trying to push Sophia into a trap? But it's not completely hopeless. If you reverse it, don't do commercial development, but take advantage of the underground utility network's characteristics and convert it into a large underground storage and data center. then build a theme park on the surface to attract traffic. Tisk TSK, that pit would instantly turn into a gold mine. I tossed the document aside and go back to watching my soap opera. How is it? Sophia's voice came. Not great, I replied lazily. I can't make sense of it. I kept pretending. Anyway, the more you say, the more you mess up. The less you say, the fewer mistakes. Saying nothing is best. Doing nothing is the way. Sophia fell silent. She just stood in front of me like that, looking down at me from above. The look made me feel utterly uncomfortable. After a long while, she turned, picked up the documents, and went up to the second floor. There's a family dinner tonight. Get ready and come with me. After dropping those words, her figure disappeared around the stairwell corner. I was stunned. Family banquet? Take me there to do what? Be the mascot? Forget it. Free feast. Not going would be a waste. What I didn't know was that Sophia went back to the bedroom and immediately locked the door. She leaned against the door, her heart pounding. She spread out the document, then took out paper and pen and wrote down, word for word, every idea that had just flashed through my mind. Underground storage, data centers, theme parks. She murmured to herself. The more she wrote, the brighter her eyes grew, as if she saw a mountain of gold beckoning to her. When she finished, she looked at the sweeping, flourishing plan on the paper, then thought of the man downstairs sprawled on the sofa, drooling from his mouth. An absurd feeling flooded my chest. This man, regarded as a waste by everyone. How many more treasures could still be hidden in his mind? The Taylor family banquet was held at the Grand Hyatt, the most luxurious hotel downtown. I wore the bespoke suit Sophia had had her assistant deliver that morning and trailed beside her like a proper gentleman, taking in the strange looks coming from all directions. There was contempt, mockery, disdain. I had long since grown used to it. I looked straight ahead with only one thought in my mind. Should tonight's Australian lobster be steamed or garlic buttered? Boston lobster sounds good too. And that French foie gras, I have to try it. Oh, isn't this Sophia and the great contributor to our Taylor family? A sarcastic voice sounded. Oliver Taylor staggered over holding a wine glass, followed by several nosy relatives who loved a spectacle. Ethan, I heard you've gotten impressive. You can even act as Sophia's strategist now. Oliver said with a fake smile. I couldn't be bothered with him, my eyes still wandering over the buffet table. Idiot, don't disturb me while I'm eating. Sophia's brows knit slightly as she said coldly, Oliver, watch your words. Oh, I'm just happy for you. Oliver laughed exaggeratedly. Your Taylor family produced a business genius like you, and now you've got an able helper like Ethan, truly adding wings to a tiger. Ha 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 ha. The relatives behind him burst into laughter as well. All eyes in the banquet hall were drawn toward us. I became the center of the joke. Just then, Sophia suddenly made a decision that shocked everyone, including me. She linked her arm through mine. Her voice was soft but carried clearly across the room. Oliver, you're not wrong. Ethan really is my capable helpmate. The whole room fell silent at once. Oliver's laugh got stuck in his throat. I felt my arm being held tightly by Sophia. The pleasant scent of her perfume slipped in my nose and made me a little dizzy. Big sis, are you for real? Are you trying to roast me alive here? Sophia seemed not to hear my thoughts and continued. In fact, the company's recent decisions have all relied on Ethan's guidance, including the reversal of the Tianhuan project. Whoosh! The room erupted. Everyone looked at me as if I were an alien. Oliver's face instantly flushed the color of pig liver. This hurts more than slapping him. He schemed so hard to see Sophia humiliated, and all the credit went to a useless person? Not only that, Sophia's next bombshell hit me like a blast. After preliminary discussion by the board, we have decided to give the East City Development Project entirely to Ethan. Boom! My brain crashed. The piece of salmon I had just put in my mouth nearly flew out. Damn, that crazy woman. She's trying to ruin me. I just fantasized for a second in my head, and she actually dared to go along with it. That's it. My plan to do nothing is completely ruined. I looked at Sophia's face, faintly smiling, and for the first time a chill rose from the bottom of my heart. This woman is ruthless. I was forced into the position and became the chief person in charge of the Dongqing Development Project. A figurehead with only a title. No staff, no budget, a lone commander. Oliver and his faction no longer dared say anything publicly, but behind my back they treated me like a thorn in their side, an irritant in their flesh. They're waiting to see me make a fool of myself, waiting for me to completely ruin this project and then nail Sophia and me to Taylor Group's pillar of shame. Ethan, I've already approved the project's startup funds, $100 million. If you need anyone, speak directly to Vivian. In Sophia's office, she pushed a bank card across the desk to me. I looked at the card, wanting to cry, but unable to. $100 million? Are you giving me $100 million or a pair of handcuffs? If I lose this money, does that mean I'll spend the rest of my life in prison? This is so annoying. My laid-back life has been ruined by this woman. What did I ever do to deserve this? I complained like crazy inside, but forced an even more hideous smile than crying onto my face. Honey, I really can't do it. I'm just a worthless guy. You putting me in charge of such a big project. Are you kidding me? I believe you. Sophia looked at me, and there was something in her eyes I couldn't put into words. You believe me? You believe that? You're just trying to use me. Fine, you're ruthless. If you won't let me be happy, you won't get to be comfortable either. I hardened my heart, decided to slack off, and let this project fail. For the next few days, I clocked into the company on time every day, then sat in the small office assigned to me, drinking tea, reading the paper, and playing dodiju. The documents Oliver sent were tossed straight into the shredder without me glancing at them. When project team members came to consult about work, I pretended to know nothing and would only say, "You handle it as you see fit." Oliver's people were overjoyed, spreading my glorious deeds around the office daily, saying Sophia had lost her mind and found a real deity who came to work just to play dodiju. However, what they didn't know was this. Although I was slacking off in person, my mind wasn't idle. This Oliver really is a fool, trying to trip me up, bribing the material supplier, thinking that cutting off my cement would stop me from building the tower. How naive. Who says a data center must be built with cement? I'll use the newest composite steel. Not only will construction time be cut in half, but costs will drop by 30%. The supplier he bribed can go cry about it. Also, trying to block me on the environmental approval? Does he not know my father-in-law? Oh no, Sophia's father is comrades with Director Anderson of the Environmental Protection Bureau, just a phone call away. The stupidest thing was that he actually tried to recruit the deputy leader of my project team. He promised that guy $500,000. But he didn't know that the deputy leader is one of my wife's most loyal confidants. His every move has long been reported to Sophia in real time. I watched Oliver's schemes and plots in my head like a TV series while leisurely sipping my tea. Meanwhile, in the president's office, Sophia sat upright in a dignified manner, while Assistant Vivian stood to the side and respectfully reported, "Miss Sophia, as you instructed, we have contacted that composite steel factory and signed the supply contract. Also, the chairman has already communicated with Director Anderson. The green channel for the environmental approval has been opened. Additionally, Vice Leader Mike sent word that Oliver is inviting him to dinner tonight. The location is..." Sophia listened quietly, her fingers tapping the table in rhythm. She stared out the window, her gaze seeming to pierce through layers of walls and land in that leisurely office. A faint, unnoticed smile curved at the corner of her mouth once more. The project launch for the Dongqing development proceeded as scheduled. The venue was the press conference hall, temporarily erected at the project site. Major media outlets and industry heavyweights were all present. As the project lead, I was forcibly pushed onto the stage by Sophia. Wearing a crisp suit and standing under the spotlight, I felt like a lamb led to the slaughter. This is bad. So many people. Is Sophia a devil? She insisted on putting me in the spotlight. What am I supposed to say? "Hello, everyone. I'm Ethan. I actually don't know anything. My wife forced me into this." My palms were sweating with nerves when Oliver walked in with a group of people, beaming with pride. He walked straight up to me and, in a voice only the two of us could hear, said, "Ethan, your days are numbered." Later, the important guest you invited will, in front of all the media, expose that your project is a scam. I glanced at him. Oh, the important guest he meant was that deputy leader Mike who had been bought off with $500,000, right? Poor kid. He doesn't even know he's already become a double agent. The press conference began. After Sophia gave a brief opening remark, she handed the microphone to me. "Next, please welcome the chief person in charge of our Dongchang development project, Mr. Ethan, to introduce the project's core highlights." I forced myself onto the stage, all eyes in the audience fixed on me. I cleared my throat and, following the script Sophia had slipped me last night, read aloud, "Ladies and gentlemen, hello. I won't say much about the project, because facts speak louder than words. Now, please welcome our project's key partner, Mr. Mike from Chwanka Group, to the stage." No sooner had I finished than a triumphant smile spread across Oliver's face. He thought the show was about to begin. That so-called Mr. Mike was the trump card he'd arranged, Mike, the deputy leader of my project team. Mike walked onto the stage and took the microphone from my hand. He glanced at Oliver in the audience, and Oliver gave him an encouraging look. Then Mike cleared his throat and began to speak. "Hello, everyone. I'm Mike from Chwanka Group. Today, I stand here to expose a conspiracy." The smile on Oliver's face grew even brighter. The media's flashbulbs began to go off like mad. However, what Mike said next caused Oliver's smile to freeze on his face in an instant. This conspiracy is that Mr. Oliver Taylor, director of marketing at the Taylor Group, attempted to bribe me with $500,000 to have me slander the East City Development Project at this press conference and damage the reputation of the Taylor Group. Mike said, then pulled a voice recorder from his pocket and pressed the play button. Oliver's voice came through clearly. "After it's done, $500,000, not a cent less for you. I just need you to say publicly that this project was a scam from start to finish." Boom! The whole room erupted. Oliver's face went instantly deathly pale, completely drained of color. He pointed at Mike on the stage, his lips trembling, unable to utter a single word. "No, that's not. It's forged." But no one was listening to his explanations anymore. Mike continued, and the reason I went along with Mr. Oliver in putting on this show is that from the very beginning, I was a pawn planted by Miss Sophia and Mr. Ethan. The purpose was to expose and catch all the worms in certain companies in one net. When he finished speaking, he bowed deeply to me. "Mr. Johnson, your scheme is flawless. Mike admires you with the utmost respect." The spotlight shone on me again. I stood on the stage, looking at Oliver's ashen face in the audience, and at the shocked, admiring, incredulous looks of the people around us. I appeared as calm as an old dog on the surface, but inside 1,000 horses were running wild. Damn it, my scheme? What scheme do I even have? I play landlord in the office every day. "Sophia, it's you again, that crazy woman causing trouble behind my back." The press conference ended in a dramatic fashion. Oliver was taken away on the spot by security. Awaiting him were the company's internal investigation and legal punishment. As for me, Ethan, that former useless freeloader's son-in-law, overnight I became a prominent figure in the city's business world. A brilliant business strategist. The mastermind who plays dumb to catch tigers. All kinds of absurd titles flew at me like snowflakes. At the celebration banquet after the dinner, I was surrounded by a group of people holding wine glasses, offering compliments, their eyes full of reverence and flattery. I'm exhausted in both body and mind. So tired, even more than when I play do di jeu. These people are so hypocritical. A few days ago, they were calling me a loser, and today, they're shouting Mr. Johnson. Sophia is the worst. She pushed me out as a human shield and hid in the back to reap the benefits. I finally found a spare moment and slipped out onto the balcony to get some air. A glass of red wine was handed to me. It was Sophia. She was wearing a red evening gown today, which made her skin whiter than snow and her beauty indescribable. "Thank you for your hard work," she said. "Not hard work, tough luck." I took the wine glass and muttered quietly, "If it weren't for you, I'd still be lying at home." The corner of Sophia's mouth twitched, but she quickly returned to normal. She stood beside me, looking at the bustling traffic below, silent for a moment, then suddenly spoke. "Who are you, really?" I felt a chill in my heart. "It's here, finally here." I turned to look at her. Her beautiful eyes shone amazingly in the night, as if they could see through people's hearts. How can a useless son-in-law, whom everyone thinks is worthless, know so much? There was a tremor in her voice, curiosity, confusion, and a hint of an expectation I couldn't read. She noticed? Impossible. My acting is so good, flawless. Could it be that when I was playing Do Di Ju yesterday, I accidentally revealed my kingly aura? Calm down, steady, don't panic. I took a deep breath and put on a bewildered look. "Honey, what are you talking about? I don't understand. I just usually like to read some financial news and make wild guesses. I got lucky and happened to be right." I said it with absolute sincerity, almost convincing even myself. Sophia just looked at me quietly like that, saying nothing. The night breeze lifted her long hair and brushed across my cheek. It tickled. Just as I thought she was going to keep questioning me and I was ready to make up an even more outrageous excuse, she suddenly laughed. That smile was like an iceberg melting, a fleeting bloom. "Really? What luck?" She finished speaking, then turned and walked back into the banquet hall. I watched her retreating figure, sighing in relief while growing even more puzzled inside. She believed him just like that? Something's wrong, very wrong. This woman seems to be becoming more and more inscrutable. What I didn't know was that the moment Sophia turned, the smile on her face vanished instantly, replaced by an exasperated, half-amused helplessness. She heard every single thought in my head. "Still pretending? Let's see how long you can keep that up." Since that press conference, my life has changed dramatically. My mother-in-law's look toward me shifted from contempt to ingratiation. She even started offering to serve me food. My brother-in-law began greeting me with "Hello, brother-in-law," and no longer dare boss me around. The housekeeper now treats me like royalty. And the biggest change came from Sophia. She stopped sleeping on the sofa and, instead, began sleeping openly on the other side of the big bed. Although there was a clear divide between us, to me this was already a dangerous sign. What is she trying to do? What on earth is she trying to do? Could it be that she's developed feelings over time and taken a liking to me? No way. I'm only interested in making money, not getting involved emotionally. Not only that, she also began to show concern for me in a clumsy way. For example, she would buy a bunch of luxury men's clothes that I never wear and fill up my wardrobe. Spendthrift woman, so many clothes. How am I supposed to wear them all? You might as well convert them to cash for me. For example, she would personally cook, turning out a table of loving dinners comparable to biochemical weapons. I looked at that blackened, ingredient indistinguishable cola chicken wings and fell into thought. She wants to poison me and then inherit me. No, wait, I don't seem to have any assets. Forget it. For the sake of her effort, I'll take one bite. Just one. I bravely picked up a piece and put it into my mouth. The next second, I felt my taste buds explode. Salty and sweet and bitter and spicy all at once. A jumble of flavors, indescribable. I forced down the urge to vomit, swallowed with difficulty, then turned to Sophia and forced out a twisted smile. Delicious. Sophia looked at me, her expression complicated. Of course, she heard my inner voice. Holy crap, is this even food? Did she use salt like sugar, or a soy sauce like cola? For the sake of my plan to lie flat, I endure. Sophia's face went from dark to red, then red to dark again, a spectacular display. But when she saw me take a second piece, the corners of her mouth couldn't help but lift slightly. She picked up her chopsticks, took a piece, and put it into her mouth. PFF. She rushed into the restroom at an astonishing speed. I watched her back and quietly dumped the chicken wings from my plate into the trash can. Silly girl, don't you have any idea what the food you cook tastes like? Although life is full of all kinds of laughable surprises, I have to admit that the relationship between Sophia and me is undergoing a subtle change. We still don't talk much, but many times a look, a gesture, feels as if you can understand the other's meaning. This feeling is strange. It makes me a little addicted. Good times don't last. Just as I was gradually getting used to this happy life of being kept by a wealthy woman, an unprecedented crisis descended upon the Taylor Group. Robert, the Wall Street capital magnate nicknamed the Vulture, joined forces with several local companies that Sophia had offended and with remnants of Oliver's faction to launch a hostile takeover of the Taylor Group. They came on strong, with deep pockets and ruthless methods. In just 3 days, the Taylor Group stock was halved, multiple core projects were sabotaged, and the cash flow became perilously unstable. The company was in a state of panic. The boardroom had turned into a complete mess. It's over. We're finished this time. Those are Wall Street vultures. We can't fight them. Sophia, maybe we should accept the takeover. At least we could save something. In the conference room, the directors who had been praising Sophia just a few days ago had all turned into shrinking turtles. Sophia sat at the head, her face pale, lips tightly pressed. This was the first time I had seen such obvious exhaustion and helplessness on her face. She hadn't slept for 2 days and 2 nights. I sat in the corner, silently watching it all. These old men are really fair-weather friends. But this opponent is indeed a bit tricky. That old fox Robert is best at cutting off the source. He's definitely set his sights on Taylor Group's overseas mining projects. If he can obtain controlling stakes in those mines, the Taylor Group will have its backbone pulled out and be left at others' mercy. Sophia's strategy is far too conservative, only knowing how to defend. At this rate, the company will change hands within a week. The key to breaking the deadlock is a counterattack, and it has to strike where it hurts. Robert's biggest weakness is his good-for-nothing son and that virtual currency project he's running in Europe. If only I could. Just as I was thinking that, I suddenly felt a burning gaze fall upon me. I looked up and met Sophia's eyes. Those eyes were full of bloodshot veins, and also full of the last thread of hope and despair. The entire conference room was noisy and clamorous. Only the two of us stared at each other in silence. In this moment, I suddenly felt that I could no longer remain uninvolved. Sigh, whatever. I'll just consider it repaying the months I've lived off her. The meeting broke up on an unhappy note. Sophia returned alone to the empty office. She collapsed onto the sofa, burying her face deeply in the throw pillow. I could feel that she was crying. It was a suppressed, silent sob, like an injured little beast. I sighed, walked over, poured a cup of hot water, and set it on the coffee table in front of her. I didn't speak. I just quietly stayed with her. I don't know how long had passed before she finally looked up. Her eyes were red and her voice was terribly hoarse. Ethan, am I useless? I shook my head. You've already done very well. It's just that the opponent is too strong and your teammates are all pigs. She seemed to hear the voice of my heart and gave a bitter smile. She looked at me, a trace of pleading in her eyes, a vulnerability she had never shown before. Ethan, help me. At that moment, I felt my heart as if something had grabbed it and given it a fierce tug. This woman who has always seemed indestructible finally revealed her softest side to me. What else can I say? Sigh. In the end, it couldn't be avoided. This easy life really isn't that tasty. Oh well, fine. Consider it the final severance pay. Add a bit more. I cleared my throat and decided not to hide anymore. If you want me to help, fine. But you must promise me that from now on, all company matters will follow my direction, I said. Sophia suddenly lifted her head, looking at me in shock. And in my mind, a vast and crazy turnaround plan had already begun to take shape at light speed. Step 1. Stabilize the stock price. Have Vivian contact Henry at Union Bank of Switzerland and tell him that the Black Swan plan I mentioned can be launched. He owes me a favor and will help. Step 2. Undermine the foundation. Robert's target is overseas minerals, so we'll use his plan against him. Leak false news that we're selling the mines to lure his main funds. Step 3, and the most critical. I want you to use every connection you have to find me all the information on that darling son's cryptocurrency operations in Europe. I'm going to short him. I'm going to bankrupt him. I'll set Robert's backyard on fire so he can't tend to both ends. Step 4. Full counterattack. When Robert is in chaos, we'll combine forces with Henry's capital and directly launch reverse takeovers of several of his shell companies to utterly cripple him. The plan in my head links step to step, bold, insane, and meticulous. Beside me, Sophia was initially just stunned. Later, she was completely struck dumb. She looked at me as if she were looking at a monster. The despair and helplessness in her eyes gradually gave way to a light called adoration and frenzy. She knew that if this plan succeeded, the Taylor Group would not only avert a crisis, but could even leap to become a true international giant. And all of this sprang from a few seconds of thought in the mind of the man she had once thought useless. Okay. She stood up, her eyes regaining their former resolve. No, more determined than ever before. From now on, you are the supreme commander of the Taylor Group. The next 72 hours were 72 heart-stopping hours. Under my remote command and Sophia's flawless execution, a storm sweeping the global financial markets quietly began. The mysterious funds from UBS flowed into the market like a ghost, propping up Taylor Group's stock price with an iron grip. Robert poured in tens of billions of dollars, but it was like a stone sinking into the sea. No splash at all. At the same time, a fake story that Taylor Group intends to sell its overseas core mineral assets was precisely funneled to Robert through various channels. The old fox indeed took the bait. He immediately mobilized substantial forces, preparing to devour this fat piece in one bite. And just at the moment his main fund were tied up, the virtual currency market all the way in Europe suddenly collapsed. A virtual coin called Angel's Wing plunged from its peak to the bottom in just 1 hour, its value dropping to zero. Robert's son was ruined, and because he was suspected of financial fraud, he was taken away by the local police for investigation. A fire broke out in the backyard, throwing Robert into utter chaos. Waiting for him was a deadly blow delivered jointly by the Taylor Group and UBS. We were like sharks smelling blood, frantically executing reverse takeovers to seize the prime assets under Robert. 1 week later, the dust settled. Wall Street vulture Robert, defeated and broken, severely weakened, made a humiliating exit from the market. And the Taylor Group achieved legendary status in a single battle. At the victory banquet, cups clinked and drinks flowed, everyone immersed in the joy of victory. As the mastermind behind this campaign, I once again hid out on the balcony, holding a glass of orange juice and staring at the moon in the sky. It was finally over. This time the severance should be enough, right? $10 or $8 billion wouldn't be excessive, would it? Once I get the money, I'll buy a small island, soak up the sun, and fish every day, and never deal with this crap again. I was happily daydreaming about my retirement. A soft body pressed against my back. A pair of slender arms wrapped around my waist. It was Sophia. What are you thinking about? Her voice, touched with a lazy post-drinking languor, sounded in my ear. Retire, I answered honestly. Want to take the money and leave. Is that so? She chuckled lightly. I'm afraid that's not possible. She turned my body around to face her. Under the bright moonlight, her exquisitely beautiful face glowed with an enchanting flush. She stood on tiptoe, leaned to my ear, and in a voice only I could hear spoke slowly and softly, word by word. I received all those surprises in your mind. Now it's my turn to give you a surprise. Actually, I can hear your inner voice. Ever since the day we went to the Civil Affairs Bureau. Boom! My brain completely crashed. I looked into her smiling eyes, as if they held stars and seas, and finally understood everything. From tearing up the agreement, to the project collaboration, to everything that has happened up to today. It turns out I was the fool kept in the dark. I was the one toyed within her hands, the pathetic pig. I opened my mouth, but not a single word came out. Sophia looked at me, petrified, and laughed even more happily. She leaned in and kissed my lips. So, Mr. Ethan, your retirement plan is indefinitely postponed. Because of me, this big trouble of yours, I'm afraid. You won't be able to shake me off for the rest of your life.